South Africa's political landscape has once again been rocked by a thunderous declaration, this time from one of the country's most seasoned political figures. Helen Zille, the Democratic Alliance's Federal Council chairperson, has unleashed what many are calling her most explosive public statement yet, demanding nothing less than the immediate judgment of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Her words, sharp, unapologetic, and dripping with urgency, have set social media ablaze and injected fresh tension into an already fragile national climate. With South Africa still reeling from economic stagnation, corruption scandals, and deep political divisions, Zille's fiery demand signals that the opposition is no longer willing to wait for slow-moving commissions, endless legal wrangling, or behind-the-scenes negotiations. He must pay. Zille declared at a press briefing in Cape Town, her voice rising over the noise of gathered journalists. President Cyril Ramaphosa cannot continue to hide behind inquiries and delayed processes. The people of South Africa deserve accountability, and they deserve it now. His time of dodging and evading justice is over. The statement follows months of growing scrutiny over Ramaphosa's leadership, with controversies ranging from the Phala Phala farm scandal to persistent allegations of weak governance and failure to root out corruption in the ruling African National Congress. For Zille, these issues are not mere blemishes on Ramaphosa's presidency, they represent a betrayal of the public trust. A breaking point in opposition rhetoric. While opposition parties have criticized Ramaphosa before, Zille's latest attack marks an escalation. Political commentators describe it as a shift from cautious condemnation to outright confrontation. By framing her demand in the language of judgment and punishment, Zille is positioning herself as both the voice of accountability and the rallying cry for citizens who feel abandoned by a system that protects the powerful. Her words, "He must pay," have already become a trending hashtag across platforms like Twitter, X, and TikTok, where frustrated youth and political activists are amplifying her call. Some see it as a turning point that could galvanize new momentum for the opposition ahead of 2026, while others caution that Zille's fiery rhetoric could deepen divisions and risk political instability. The reaction from the ANC. Within hours of her remarks, ANC representatives lashed back, accusing Zille of grandstanding and stoking public anger for political gain. "This is nothing more than reckless populism," said ANC spokesperson Malenji Bengumatsiri. "The president has subjected himself to due process and has demonstrated accountability. Helen Zille's language is irresponsible and dangerous." But critics of Ramaphosa are not buying it. They argue that the ANC has mastered the art of dragging out accountability processes, leaving ordinary South Africans disillusioned and suffering while leaders escape consequences. Public mood, anger and desperation. On the streets, the mood is shifting. Ordinary citizens, struggling under crushing unemployment, load shedding, and food price hikes, feel increasingly abandoned by those in power. For many, Zille's explosive statement is not just political theater, it reflects their own frustration with the slow wheels of justice. "She's right," said one Johannesburg resident interviewed outside a taxi rank. "We've been waiting years for answers, years for change. If it were any of us caught in a scandal, we would already be in jail. Why must politicians always be protected?" The demand for Ramaphosa's immediate judgment may not carry legal weight, but politically, it is a thunderclap. It raises the pressure on institutions like Parliament, the judiciary, and even civil society movements to clarify their stance. Will Zille's words ignite a broader opposition campaign? Could this push force Ramaphosa into a tighter corner, accelerating calls for his resignation? Analysts warn that Zille's strategy is not without risks. The ANC may rally around Ramaphosa more tightly, portraying him as a victim of political persecution, while undecided voters may view the DA's rhetoric as too extreme. Still, in a country where patience has worn thin, bold statements often resonate more than cautious policy promises. A defining moment. Whether Helen Zille's explosive outcry becomes a historic rallying call or just another political soundbite, one thing is clear: South Africa's political storm is intensifying. Ramaphosa, long seen as a stabilizing figure within the ANC, now faces a direct assault on his legitimacy from a formidable opposition leader who is refusing to mince her words. He must pay, Zille thundered, and with that, the battle lines for South Africa's next chapter in political accountability may have just been drawn.